You were gone for 14 months, Petra. The house was just sitting there. I had the paperwork. What was I supposed to do, watch it appreciate while you played soldier? Those are my mother's words. She said them later, after I found out, after I stopped shaking, after I had the presence of mind to put her on speaker and let what she was saying become a record. But I am getting ahead of myself. The moment this story turns on is a Tuesday morning in September. 2 days after I landed at Fort Liberty. I am standing at a teller window at First Heritage Bank, still carrying 14 months of deployment in my body, my duffel on the floor beside me, my discharge papers in a manila envelope in my bag. I am there to sort out an automatic payment that flagged on my account. Routine, 5 minutes. The teller looks at my name on her screen. Something changes in her face just for a second. She says, "1 moment, please." She comes back with a man in a blue tie, mid-50s, silver at his temples. He says, "Sergeant Graves, I'm Martin Elliott, branch vice president. Would you come with me?" I follow him to a small office near the back. He closes the door. He looks at me, not unkindly, and then he says, very quietly, "Before I tell you what I have to tell you, I need you to take a breath. And I need you not to react, not yet, not here." He waits, I breathe, and then he tells me, "My name is Petra Graves. I am 32 years old. Staff Sergeant, United States Army, combat engineer, 11 years of service. I will tell you the things about myself that are relevant to this story and try to be efficient about it, because the story is not really about me. It is about what I built, what was taken, and what the law and one bank manager and a file no one told him to keep gave back to me. I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, in a house that was always a little too small for the tension inside it. My mother, Gloria Graves, was a woman of strong opinions and selective memory. She remembered precisely what she had done for you and rarely what she had done to you. She raised me alone after my father left when I was 4, and she used that fact the way some people use a debt, constantly, as currency, as leverage, as a reason I owed her things I hadn't agreed to owe. I enlisted at 19. She took it personally. Said I was running away from the family rather than toward something. She was wrong. I was running toward something specific, structure, purpose, and the satisfaction of work that matched my capabilities. I was good at the Army. I was very good at it. Staff Sergeant by 26. A commendation I don't discuss often because the circumstances that earned it are not something I am yet ready to put into words. I bought the house at 28. This is the part that matters. I had saved for 6 years, deliberately, carefully, in the way you save when you have watched financial precarity hollow out a household, and decided, with the full force of your adult self, never to live inside that particular vulnerability again. Fort Liberty, North Carolina. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, a porch I refinished myself over 2 cold November weekends. $247,000. 30-year fixed mortgage. My house, my name on the deed, my money and no one else's. My mother visited once in the first year. Walked through every room and said nothing positive, which I had expected. Then she said, "You should let me have a key, in case something happens." I gave her a key. I should not have given her a key. 2 years later, I received deployment orders. 14 months, effective October. I needed someone to manage the house in my absence. Mortgage payments were automatic, but utility bills, the HOA, small maintenance decisions required a human present. I asked Gloria because she was the only family within driving distance, and because I believed, despite everything, that blood meant something in practical emergencies. I drew up a limited power of attorney through the JAG office on post. It was specific. It authorized Gloria to pay household bills, manage routine maintenance under $500, and receive mail on my behalf. It said, explicitly, in writing, that it did not authorize the sale, transfer, or refinancing of real property. I walked her through every line. She said, "Petra, I raised you. I think I can manage a utility bill." I deployed in October. Deployment is not absence the way people imagine it. You are not simply gone. You are present somewhere else entirely, in a reality so different from the one you left that the two coexist in your mind with difficulty. You think about home the way you think about a photograph, with affection and distance in equal measure. You make peace with the fact that things happen without you. I communicated with Gloria through the first few months regularly. Short calls when I had signal, occasional emails. She told me the utilities were fine. The HOA hadn't contacted her. A neighbor had looked at the porch railing. In month 4, the communications grew shorter. She was busy, she said. Things were fine. In months 7 and 8, emails took 2 weeks to get a reply. One line, everything's fine. Focus on what you're doing. I told myself she was being Gloria, inconsistent, self-absorbed in the way she had always been when she didn't want to engage. I told myself everything was fine because she had said so, and I had a job that required my full attention, and there was nothing I could do from 12,000 miles away. In month 10, her phone number was disconnected. I tracked down a new number through a cousin. She answered, sounded distracted, said she'd switched carriers, said the house was fine. I filed it. I came home in September. My battle buddy Fatima drove with me from the airfield to post. Then she offered to drive me to the bank because I wanted to handle the financial paperwork before I unpacked. She said, "You sure you don't want to see the house first?" I said it's not going anywhere, which was, in retrospect, the most wrong thing I have ever said. His office was small and tidy. The kind of office where someone has done the same job for a long time and arranged their space around that fact. Photo of a golden retriever on the desk. He offered me water and I took it. He said, "I have to tell you something that is going to be upsetting. And I want you to know that what I tell you is not the end of the story, it is the beginning of what we can do about it. That is why I asked you not to react, not because it doesn't deserve a reaction, but because I need you thinking clearly for the next 20 minutes, and so do I." I said, "Tell me." He told me. In February, 4 months after I deployed, a real estate transaction had been executed on my property. My house had been listed, placed under contract, and sold. Closing occurred March 19th. Sale price, $289,000. The net proceeds, after commission and costs, had been wire transferred to an account that was not mine. The account belonged to my mother. Martin had not known any of this in March. He became aware in April, when the new owners initiated a mortgage transfer and submitted a power of attorney document he had not seen before, not the JAG-issued limited POA on file with the bank. This new document was broader, notarized. It purported to authorize Gloria to execute real estate transactions on my behalf. He had placed the transaction in review. He had tried to contact me. I was deployed, with limited secure communication access. His letters to my home address had been received by someone else. But he had kept the file. He pulled it from his desk drawer as he spoke and placed it in front of me. I looked at the copy of the POA my mother had submitted. The document bore a notary stamp from Raleigh, my signature, or something meant to approximate it, at the bottom. I had never signed that document. "That is not my signature," I said. Martin held my gaze. "I thought as much," he said, "which is why I kept the file." I set the water glass down on the edge of his desk. "What do? You call an attorney today. She specializes in service member property cases." He slid a card across the desk. "You do not contact your mother before you speak to her, and you need to know the buyers are still in the house. They purchased in good faith. That's solvable, but it takes time." He paused. "Sergeant Graves, you have something most people in this situation don't have. You have the Service Members Civil Relief Act. You have me, and you have this file." He tapped the folder. "The law gives you room. Use it today." I took the card. I looked at the fraudulent POA one more time. I folded it carefully, placed it with my discharge papers, and picked up my bag. "Thank you," I said, "for keeping the file." He nodded once. "It's your house, Sergeant. Somebody needed to hold the line until you got back. Before I tell you what the attorney found, and what happened to my mother, and what the law does when someone sells a soldier's home while she is 12,000 miles away, I want to stop and ask you something. Has anyone ever violated your trust in a way that required the law to fix what they broke, not just hurt your feelings, actually broke something real? Something you built, something with your name on it. Drop a comment right now. Tell me, did you fight back? And did it work? I read every single one. Drop it now. I'll be here. Carol Ewan had a two-room office near the Fayetteville courthouse, walls lined with case files, a desk covered in organized stacks that looked like chaos and were not. 19 years representing service members in property disputes. She had the particular efficiency of someone who has heard many versions of the same story and still finds each one worth fighting. I came to her the morning after Martin's office. I brought the JAG POA, the copy of the fraudulent document, the original deed, my deployment orders, and a printed record of my active duty status for the relevant period. She reviewed everything for 11 minutes without speaking. Then, tell me about the notary stamp. I told her what I'd told Martin, that I had never signed the broader POA, that the signature was not mine. The notary would have witnessed the signing. Which means either identity verification failed or the notary stamped a document without witnessing the signature at all. Either way, the problem belongs to the document, not to you. She pulled a legal pad. Here is what you have. 1. The Service Members Civil Relief Act prohibits certain legal actions against active duty service members, including, under specific circumstances, the sale of real property when the service member has an interest in it and did not consent. 2. The POA used to execute this sale purports to authorize real estate transactions, but appears to bear a forged signature, which makes it void from inception. A void POA cannot authorize anything. 3. The sale was executed using a forged legal instrument, which is a felony in North Carolina. She set down her pen. Your mother didn't make a mistake, Sergeant Graves. She committed multiple crimes. I had known this since Martin's office. But hearing it stated plainly, without emotion, by someone who did this for a living, it settled into my body differently. What about the buyers? I said. They didn't know. They didn't. That matters. They'll be made whole through their title insurance. That's precisely what title insurance exists for. When the sale is voided, their insurer covers their losses. This is not their fault, and the law treats them accordingly. She opened a fresh file folder with my name on the tab. I'll file an emergency motion to void the sale on grounds of fraudulent POA and SCRA violation. Simultaneously, I'll report the forged document to the State Bar and the Raleigh Police Department. You'll need a sworn affidavit confirming that signature is not yours. Will it work? She looked up. The document is forged. The sale was unauthorized. You were on active duty. You have a bank vice president who flagged the transaction in real time and kept the documentation. A beat. Yes, Sergeant. It will work. The financial forensics Carol's investigator produced placed my mother in Charlotte by spring, an apartment she'd moved into 6 weeks after the closing. Of the $241,000 net proceeds, $63,000 had been spent in 8 months. Rent, a car, cash withdrawals, retail. $178,000 remained in the account. That number mattered. The void sale was confirmed by the court 7 weeks after Carol filed. The transaction was unwound. The good faith buyers were made whole by their title insurer within 30 days. The net proceeds, less what my mother had spent, were ordered returned to me. The criminal complaint moved separately. Forgery, wire fraud, criminal exploitation of a service member. Gloria Graves entered negotiations with a public defender the following month. My cousin Rhea gave Gloria my new number. I answered because I had decided to answer. Carol was on standby. My phone was on record. My mother spoke for about a minute without me responding. She said the house had been deteriorating in my absence. She said she had been protecting the asset. She said the buyers were a good family and she had done her due diligence. She said she had needed the money, that she had been struggling, that I would have wanted her to be secure, that she had done what she had to do. And then she said it. You were gone for 14 months, Petra. The house was just sitting there. I had the paperwork. What was I supposed to do, watch it appreciate while you played soldier? I let it sit for a moment. Then, I'm going to stop you there. This call is being recorded. Silence. The sale has been voided by a court order, I said. Carol Ewan represents me. If you have more to say it to her. I sent the recording to Carol that evening. She used a portion of it in the criminal proceedings. My mother pleaded guilty to a reduced charge felony forgery with full restitution. The $63,000 spent was ordered repaid through a structured schedule. Suspended sentence. 3 years of supervised probation. I moved back into my house in December. She had repainted the porch railing while I was gone, a color I hadn't chosen and wouldn't have. I stripped it back down to bare wood the first weekend I was home. I started over. That felt right. I'll keep this short. I gave my mother a key because she was my mother. I gave her a limited power of attorney because she was the only family within reach. I trusted her with something that had taken 6 years to build because that is what you do with the people who are supposed to deserve it. She didn't deserve it. I couldn't have known that until she proved it. If you are a service member or you love one, know the SCRA. Know that active duty status creates specific legal protections around your property and your accounts. Know that a limited power of attorney must be explicit about what it does and does not authorize. Know that the JAG office on every post exists precisely for moments like this one. Use it before you need it. And if you are not in uniform but you have left something in someone else's care, know what document you signed. Know what it actually authorizes. Know that a power of attorney is a legal instrument, not a gesture of faith, and it should be as specific as the trust it's meant to represent. My house had my name on the deed. It always did. It took a bank manager who kept a file and an attorney who had done this 19 times before to prove it. That was enough. If this story stayed with you, hit the like button and subscribe. It helps more people find these stories. And I asked you in the middle, has someone ever violated your trust in a way that required the law to fix it? Did you fight back? Tell me in the comments. I'm reading every single one. Until next time, take care of yourself. Know what your name is on, and keep the documentation.